So recently, this guy, Direece Roche, became one of only a few people who has been convicted of murder, been released, and then gone on to convict another murder. And I think this guy hold the record for the shortest time. I believe he was out for 9 months. But I actually knew him. I was in Weimar, I was in Cat C with this guy. And he never really seemed to be that type of guy. He was one of those people, like some people, you know him and you just know, they're capable of anything. And some people, the crime doesn't match the person you know. So it makes you wonder what's going on inside people's heads. And there's a few people like this. But I'm going to give a brief background to this. Some of the things what have not been reported or have not been reported everywhere. So he was convicted of murder with his brother. When he was 16, he was given a 12-year tariff for the murder of this guy, Adam Steele. His brother, I know his brother as well, Owen was given an IPP for manslaughter with a 4-year tariff. But he killed this fella, Finton McDwyer, who was his grandmother's brother, so it was his great uncle. He broke into his house and stabbed him 77 times. But one of the things they said it was about an argument over a dog. But the story is Direece's mum committed suicide when he was around 13, and she left a note saying that an uncle had sexually abused her. And apparently there's about a dozen different people who it could have been. And one of his mum's uncles was the guy he killed, this Finton McDwyer. But also the dog's name was Sammy, which was also his mum's name, and he took it as a personal insult. And on the night of the murder, he'd visited his mum's grave in Manchester, and after the murder, he's gone to visit his mum's grave as well. So there may be some truth in it, but only he knows. But I'm going to go back to when we was in Weimar together, because he seemed like one of the nicest guys you could meet. He was very friendly, very polite, and he wasn't just like what you get on these pipe units who were for lifers at the end of the sentence. And you get some people they go on groups and they say, well, I'm fucking sick of drugs being brought onto the wing, and then they'll go to the cell and get smashed out of the head. But he was a guy, he would talk, he would say the right things when you were in a group and stuff like that. If people were bad-mouthing someone, he would say, I don't agree with that, or something like that. And he was Jim Ardley, he was super fit. He would do 5K in like 18 minutes. He would run on the yard with his top off, showing off his six-pack and stuff like that. But he ended up in a relationship with an officer there. And everyone who was in Weimar at this time, I say between 2018 and 20, just before lockdown, I moved off the pipe unit, but I went back on there during lockdown for about a week and then got moved back off. But that's another story. But there was this woman officer who came called Miss Thompson. I think her name was Amelia Thompson. I'm not sure, but she started on security, and everyone was on her. Everyone was like, she was regarded as like one of probably the best looking women in the jail, and she was really nice, really like friendly and pleasant and chatty girl as well. And everyone, when you get a woman like that, everyone's convinced that she's looking at me and stuff like that. But after. She told me, or someone told me on security, that women who work on security have the option of moving off after a year because they're limited to what they do. They can't carry out piss tests and strip searches and stuff like that. So I think only regard to new people who start to do the probationary period, like 1 year on security. And so she moved on to the pipe unit, and then she was in. I don't know how long it took her, because I didn't get to know after he had left. He went to Cat D, he went to Kirkham, and she quit the job and started visiting him, stuff like that. So there was never anything, like no one knew what anything was going on whilst he was there or anything like that. She weren't bringing in parcels in or anything like that. It seemed like a genuine relationship, and I don't actually know what happened to it. But another thing that cropped up was Direece was caught bringing a knife onto a town visit whilst he was in Kirkham, but he wasn't kicked out, and he was released something like 6 months later. So no idea the story behind that. And I was thinking of doing for this channel, I was researching all people who have killed. This was a few months ago, before I knew about this case. When I was researching people who have committed murder, who have been released, and then gone on to commit another murder, not a single one had killed men on both times. Every single one had killed women, ex-partners, estranged wives and stuff like that. There was 1 or 2 people who may like done a man and a woman, but there was not one single one that I found that had killed a man, got out and then killed another man. I'm not trying to give him any credibility or anything like that, or something like that. Maybe the guy did abuse his mother or something like that. In that case, there's little sympathy to be had. But I guess no one will know the truth on this case.